Have you been asked to explain what your sigils mean? I have. When I first started putting my sigils onto the various Facebook sigil groups, I was asked to explain what they mean. I think there was an element of nervousness in that, in people asking me before they were willing to put my or allow my sigils to be on that in that group. People are so easily scared. Even though my sigils were kind of brightly coloured and, you know, sweet rather than kind of dark and sinister. Anyway, in explaining what this particular sigil means, I use this particular drawing. This is my hand-drawn aspect of the sigil to surround the sigil that I'd made in order to give some words, you know, some explanations, if you like, to what the sigil actually meant. So you can see there at the top there's a thing called the awakening key. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. You can see that around the outside of the sigil I've wrote meta quantum, ultra terrestrial, light language metaphysics. You can see that I've also wrote feel the rich, wealth flows like water in your life. I'll change that slightly to in our life or in our lives, so that there is a coaching aspect of this involved. You know, we can say that we are working or operating together after all, to say that wealth flows like water in our lives, yeah. So anyway, back to some explanations. There's a lot more to this sigil than is explained here, but in giving these few words, I'm clarifying to some degree what this sigil contains. As I say, it contains so many other things, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. The awakening key was the first of 54 symbols or keys that I learned in a Reiki course called Angelic Keys by a beautiful lady called Leslie Princess Starseed Paramore. She's online if you look for her. She does courses through Udemy also, so if you want to get them for a real decent price, if you're struggling financially or you can't afford to pay for a more expensive course, she offers them through Udemy. And one of the excellent things about Udemy is that they have regular sales on, so you can get such courses for roughly about 13, 14, 15 pounds thereabouts. Anyway, back to it. It's funny, the awakening key. It's funny how you can get a lesson through an attitude, through holding an attitude. You know, what I mean by that is this. Here's my version of the awakening key. We were asked to draw these awakening keys for ourselves, so I did. I drew it for myself, and there's my version of the awakening key. Okay. Now what I did with Leslie's awakening key, as the instructions asked us to do, is I held the awakening key against my third eye chakra before going to bed one particular night, maybe, I don't know, a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. In fact, what I did was I slapped it against my forehead exactly like that. I just slapped it against my forehead before going to bed in a rather nonchalant manner. Now, I've actually found that in my life, when I've done healings, I've done them in this kind of nonchalant manner. And that seems to be when they've worked the best. And I think that's actually because I asked for that. I asked the universe many years ago in studying Reiki and in studying healing, to be made into a healer, to be transformed into a healer that can do stuff off the cuff, you know, without having to do the months of meditations and whatever else is involved. And again, that's for a sacred purpose. The sacred purpose is that I'm sure that a lot of people who are interested in healing are drawn in by good advertising that advertise courses that you must do for months and months and months, or 26 years meditating in a cave before you can be a healer, or in 13 steps to be a healer, you know. And I wanted to cut through all of that. I asked the universe to help me to cut through all of that, to just make every single moment of my life prayer, meditation, healing, to make everything I do, everything I say, think and do, healing somehow, without people knowing, without me knowing, without having to subscribe to any particular thing, any particular way, any particular meditation, any particular steps towards becoming a healer. Anyway, so the awakening key, the first key, I slapped against my forehead and went to bed. And that night, that very night, I had an amazing dream, an awakening dream, in which I met these blue beings, like blue, semi-see-through, scintillating light. And I've seen a picture, and I'll stick it on here if I can, of the human immune system in a National Geographic magazine. In fact, I'll see if I can grab it right now. Just bear with me a moment. Nope, can't find it. Never mind. I'll edit that bit out. Anyway, so that's the story of the awakening key. The blue beings, these blue beings came into my dream, and they came into my presence and company over a period of several months, in fact, and they're still with me. I still have a lot of communication with them. Now, I know that sounds quite strange, and some people could say I'm totally bonkers, but what the hell, you know, you only live once, so you might as well enjoy your life, you know. And they dumped into my head a manual, something like Leslie Paramore's Angelic Keys manual, but with their own symbology, which included the types of symbology I've seen in YouTube and Facebook posts about med bed, quantum med bed technology. Now, they intimated to me that they were quantum med beings. An issue with quantum med bed technology is that when you get yourself into one of these pods, these beds, you become vulnerable to whoever it is at the other end who's pressing the buttons, whoever it is that's in control of that technology. Whereas if you have psychic, spiritual beings, quantum med beings, you are not vulnerable to whoever's pressing the buttons and at the other end, the controlling end of that technology. You are influenced by your own psyche. Did I say that clearly? Shall I say that again? Because all of these deities, spiritual beings, etc., are all aspects of your psyche. You are the doorway. You are the portal. You're the one that has the angels and the demons. You're the one who creates the gods, the deities, the angels, the demons, the spirit beings, the guides. You're the one. You are the one. Okay? So, it was wonderful, this particular dream. And it was wonderful, the symbols that I was given. And I'm not the best artist in the world. I'm probably not ever going to be able to do that justice, or to do drawings of them justice. A whole set of quantum med anatomy, physiology, healing symbols that I have the honor and the remit now of creating. And all of my sigils and symbols that I create are aspects, shades, shadows, reflections, memories, and forward projections of those intentionalities. Okay, that's what my sigils represent. So people come out with these fancy titles. So my fancy title that has a lot of meaning to it is Metaquantum Ultra-Terrestrial Light Language Metaphysics. That's almost a descriptive title of what it is that I practice, what it is that I do. Metaquantum Ultra-Terrestrial. I've actually read stuff on ultra-terrestrial magic, ultra-terrestrial metaphysics. I've actually read stuff on ultra-terrestrial metaphysics and utilized it actually, and had specific outcomes from utilizing ultra-terrestrial metaphysics. So that's why I call mine meta-quantum ultra-terrestrial light language, because I have spoken in tongues all my life. I don't often make it public. I don't often do it in public. Facebook is a great thing, and the Facebook groups are great things these days for giving people the confidence to come forwards and express their light language forwards into the world and onto groups. I have a sneaky feeling that some of mine are going to rub people up the wrong way, because I find that even in a lot of the spirituality that's becoming public these days, when I express mine, people diss it. When I express mine, people don't like it. Yet they have these groups available for you to express yourself clearly. Yet I find that people dislike and throw stones at me for opening up and sharing mine. It's funny, isn't it? Anyway, so my title for what I do, I change it from time to time, but I call it, one of the things I've called it is Metaquantum Ultra-Terrestrial Light Language Metaphysics, because those are the aspects of the things that I practice. Those are the things that I do. Metaphysics, light language metaphysics, ultra terrestrial light language metaphysics, meta quantum, ultra terrestrial light language metaphysics. You can say, what the hell is that? What does that mean? But you could say, what does that mean for anything? What does psychology mean? What does psychoanalysis mean? What does Reiki mean? What does metaphysics mean? What does physics mean? What is any of it actually but a play on words? Okay, so I've said, feel the rich, feel the rich. Okay, this, if you like, is a coaching technique. I am suggesting and encouraging people to feel the rich. When we talk about the rich, a lot of people talk about the rich in derogatory terms, meaning people who are maybe snooty or snobby or better than thou or better than thy or whatever, to try to put across something. Sometimes it's clear what they're trying to put across, and sometimes it's not clear what they're trying to put across about the rich. But one of the ways, if we're talking about law of attraction, we're talking about manifesting in our lives. One of the ways to manifest more wealth, one of the ways to attract more wealth, more wealthy people to invest in us, is to feel the rich and allow every feeling that we have about the rich more expression. Feel the rich, because in feeling the rich, in feeling every hatred we have, every jealousy we have, every envy we have, every blessing we have, every love we have about the rich, whoever and whatever the rich are, what we actually do is we clothe ourselves in that mantle. We allow ourselves some flow about issues of wealth and rich people. We soon come to bless that and express that in our lives. The reason that we fail to manifest wealth is that we block wealth. We are blocked in our expression towards wealth. We hold ourselves in stillness and abeyance of money, of wealth, of expressions of wealth. We hold all that in stuckness and abeyance in our individual lives and auras and expressions and expressionality. So, in encouraging you to feel the rich, what I'm doing is I'm saying to you, free your expressions, free the feelings that you have about rich people and about the rich and about wealth. Free yourself up, express them, say them, speak them, write them, draw pictures of them. However you want to do, wave your arms about, stomp and snort. Do whatever you do to express whatever feelings and ideas you have about the rich. Express it. Let it out. When you let it out, you are no longer in abeyance of your wealth. You let flow the wealth outwards and inwards and sideways and upwards and downwards, round and around, like a fountain, like a waterfall. You express it. Feel the rich. The next one is an affirmation. Wealth flows like water in our lives. 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 Think about what that means. Wealth flows like water in our lives. Wealth flows like water in our lives. Wealth flows like water in our lives.